Phil, never before in the life of Austin, the soccer city, has such a momentous occasion taken place. Worlds will collide. Titans will rise. Titans may fall. Because at the Domain this weekend, Phil, along with Nico Estevez and Brad Stuver, we are going to see one big ball.
Yeah. How big of a ball, and to which are you referring? Instantly, I am transported to 1976, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, the third AC/DC album, and the song Big Balls in particular, which is according to a site called Beat Sense, they characterized the song as a double entendre. The entire song is a double entendre. No kidding. It is actually about social balls. So it is about balls as they are held in ballrooms. There is a helpful Spanish translation guide in the video that they posted with this, where Bon Scott is saying, through the magic of Espanol, tengo bolas grandes. But that's not what we're talking about here, is it?
I mean, it's a version of something you see on Bridgerton or Apple TV Plus's The Buccaneers, where the Duke and the Duchess are announced at the door as they enter the grand ball. But no, in this case, we're talking about a grand and giant ball, a ball that could only be coming to Austin in the year of 2025, the same year that we are getting a Spinal Tap sequel. Speaking of double entendres, a 30-foot tall...
The whole movie is a double entendre.
30-foot tall MLS 30th anniversary soccer ball that carries, no surprise, similar color scheme to the MLS All-Star jerseys, brought to you by Old Spice, as we now know officially, and as we've seen photos of, so it's real. I wasn't lying. I was right. And yeah, one of the great heritage locations of Austin soccer, the Domain Northside Lawn, as we know.
My favorite soccer players. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you think about soccer and you think about Austin, one, you think about the Domain. Two, you think about the Domain Northside Lawn. Nico Estevez and Brad Stuver will be doing a meet and chatting with fans. We'll see who gets bold and who has tactical notes for Nico that they decide to bring with them to the Domain.
Never mind. You know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't need to say it.
But yeah, for me, the most fun bits of things that we've seen in various press releases that have carpet bombed our inboxes over the last few days, as I guess we are now finding out about all of the different things that are happening over the next 5 days for All-Star, literally the day before all of it starts happening. It's good that we actually know. Are you going to go out to the big, beautiful ball, Phil? Are you going to go out to the big, beautiful ball with bells on, like a baron, like a duke?
I'm trying to figure out if I have to be at the Domain for any reason.
You have a piece of Apple hardware that you need to take in for repair, and just take it in across the street. And then, look, there's a giant soccer ball here, where usually there's a giant Christmas tree for 3 months of the year.
And there are people I talk to pretty much every week also standing there. Maybe I'll stand back for that part. Let other people who never get to talk to them.
And just observe, just soak it all in. Just soak in all the big, beautiful ball vibes.
Emergency podcast. They did a thing, so we gotta talk about it. Emergency podcast. It's an emergency. Emergency podcast. Shut up, oh yeah, shut up, oh yeah, shut up. Emergency podcast. It's an emergency.
Hey, a hearty hello to you all, and welcome to Emergency Podcast, the Austin FC podcast, where we talk about all the Austin FC emergencies. All-Star Week, it is upon us. So much is going on. It is Friday afternoon that we are recording here, and there is so much going on the next 5 days. My head is about to explode, but it's going to be fun. There's a lot. We're covering a lot. We've got extra episodes, all the madness. Moisés, how are you doing? How you're bracing? You were bracing with the enemy's outfit there. I see
the enemy
Liga MX hoodie.
Whoa, hold on a minute, Phil. I didn't know that we were
from MLS perspective.
I didn't know we were paid for MLS shills around this joint. I am a thoroughly unbiased, completely unaligned person who just loves fashion. I'm wearing the All-Star hoodie styled in the same design as their jerseys. It's
You mean your
very
MLS
comfortable.
Yeti didn't sway you?
I accepted my MLS Yeti. It's right there in my kitchen. I used it just the other day to drink mate. I'm happily accepting of all good things soccer. I'm not going to pledge allegiance to the flag of one league or another. Phil, I don't know about you, but I have to remain unbiased. That's just the way that I am. You do what you want. I just,
Okay.
you look at that Liga MX jersey is one of those great all-timer designs.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I liked the MLS one a bit more with the like debossed design stuff before they slapped the Old Spice logo on it. But as the prophet of the Old Spice logo, whose prophecy has now been foretold and has now been seen in the cool light of day, I'm just a fan of merchandise. I'm just a fan of plastic woven to thread. That's me, Phil. That's all I got.
You really are. All right, let's talk. First, we're going to, before we get into all-star stuff, because we do have a lot to talk about, let's just get real quick to two games that happened this week. Of course, we had on Saturday the New England match, the 0-0 match. There's really not a lot to say about that, except for the Azuni misses. And then obviously we had the Wednesday match in Carson that went super late, 25 minutes of stoppage time between the two halves. Press conferences started beyond midnight, but of course, Azuni scores his goal. Esteves has some choice words for those who doubt them. Felipe vibes coming in there. And all of a sudden, they got 4 points out of 6. Not quite exactly 100% what we wanted out of them in these last two games, but decent showing. And then we're going to bookend after the all-star stuff and talk about what this means a little bit, but any kind of things that jumped out to you from either of those matches other than the spice continues between the Galaxy and Austin in terms of the rivalry.
Just to empty out the junk drawer, a couple little things. The Revs match, disappointing as it was, if it had been a loss, that would have been a disaster to me.
Sure.
But in the beneficial glow of hindsight, which is 2020, as we all know, it was a recalibration match. It was their first match without Brandon. And if it had been a loss, that would have been a really bad sign. Sure to be disappointing, but getting that win against the Galaxy, who, like the Revs, not in the best of form, people could say, oh, well, there would have been no excuse for the Galaxy game to not be a win. People can say that in retrospect now, but leading into that Galaxy match, the betting odds had a 50% that Galaxy was going to win, evenly split 25 for a draw, 25 for Austin win. A lot of people were just leaning into the skid of, well, Austin is back on a downslide because of one draw after a very punishing U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal with extra time. And then we saw them play. I know that we didn't think it existed, Phil, but an MLS regular season game with extra time. As you said, 25 minutes of it. Some of the most bafflingly terrible officiating of the entire season across not just Austin matches, but any match that I've seen in MLS. It would be bafflingly bad officiating if this were suddenly MLS Next Pro third division with VAR. I'm astonished at how bad it was. You mentioned Nico leaning into the you doubted us narrative. The nuance that I saw in some of that is that one of the big wins he has had this season is keeping this locker room together through a lot of adversity, which Josh Wolf notably did not. The vibes might be kind of funereal after some of these losses, but the relationship between the players and the coach and everything has never felt as chilly as it did through the entire 2023 and entire 2024 seasons. So to me, the stuff that he said about people criticizing Mirto and people not knowing anything about football, I took in context to be very focused on specifically unreasonable criticism of a player, where he does leave room for, yeah, we should be criticized. The players should be criticized. The coaching staff should be criticized if we're not performing, that kind of thing. I think that it is entirely valid when he says, look, if you're going to be critical of when we do poorly, you've also got to recognize the reality of actually seeing progress. And to be fair to that perspective that he offered, we have seen improvement in Mirto's form. Now, does that hold on and does it keep improving? That's the question that we don't get to answer until we actually see more games. For me, the thing that I liked the most out of that immediately spicy off the jump after the two halves and extra time against LA Galaxy and Carson was, this is a coach who was saying, I don't just want my players to run through broken glass for me. I want to run through the broken glass with them, and I'm going to be the first one up. And
Yeah.
that's what I liked the most about it. And frankly, after how many years of a coach not getting anywhere close to anything other than they're going to rub it in the dirt and they'll do better when they're done being bad players tomorrow, the way that Josh did. To me, if we see a further slide downhill, then I think there's something to ridicule. I have to give a bit of due respect to getting the backs of one's players and helping keep them focused on the joy that we saw in the hug between him and Mirto on the field, between Mirto and other players on the field. That is not a divided locker room. That is not a locker room that, even if they limp into the playoffs, is not going to be doing it with their heads hung all the way low. This to me is still, as we said on the last show, this is the team that they owe it to the narrative to win Open Cup, and they owe it to the narrative to get into the playoffs and have a good playoff run, because they are doing the work. They are not giving up, contrary to what various people wanted to say early in the season of, oh, they're not really trying. You know what? How about you get on that pitch and run for 90 minutes and see how you fare? I don't want to come off as defensive, but more, this is to say, I get where his head's at, and I like that he has not lost his head at this point, facing the kinds of adversities that he and his players have so far.
Sure. Yeah. And if it's pitting media against the players and saying that media shouldn't be doubting the players and you want to play it that way, that's fine. I'm fine to be that kind of foil if that's what it was. Maybe I'm being too sensitive in that.
I feel like he might have been talking to an audience of one that wasn't either one of the people that's on this call.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that's more the vibe of it. To me, like, they're the fans who, I have a feeling, like, this is entirely speculative. I swear to you, none of this is based on something on background or anything. Mirto Uzuni deactivating his Instagram account, I think that is something that comes from somebody crossing a line and saying something about his newborn son. I think that's what that is.
Okay.
Because
I didn't see like why he did that.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. This is my non-educated, just purely speculative guess. U.S. soccer fans, European soccer fans, South American, like all the ultras, they all are great at crossing lines. Oh boy, that fan is short for fanatic, right? There are people who have always been good at crossing lines. The line that I think somebody could have crossed in those DMs that he was not prepared for, that would hit different than just random horrible things that people say to players about their wives or their face or the country they're from, is this guy is a new father with a very new infant child who he has seen for an amount of time that could be counted in minutes and barely days. And I could see there being something that crossed a line in that zone that made him go, I need to detach from this because I can't be seeing any of this kind of stuff. That's right, entirely speculatively what I think might have crossed a line and led to that kind of thing. And
and whatever gets his head right, that's fine. Do what you got to do. The most important thing, obviously, is doing your job and doing your job well. We saw him coming in and the countenance that he had and the approach that he was taking to playing here. He was, after all, leaving his pregnant wife and knowing the timetable, knowing that he was going to miss the birth of his child, knowing that he was going to miss all these sorts of things. And it was a calculated choice that he made to play here. Clearly, he wants to be here. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing those sorts of things. And I'm sure it's not his intention to have gone 13 league matches between goals or 14 league matches between goals, depending on how you're accounting, but it did happen. That's where it was. It was just so fulfilling. And I'm sure for him more than most, but I'm sure for everybody to just see the confidence that he had when he got that pass from Rubio in the game on Wednesday and weaved around the three defenders and shot. It was a beautiful goal. It was beautiful setup for that. It was all the confidence that he hadn't exhibited in a lot of these previous games in this one, and just really refreshing to see that he was able to do that. And he did have some other misses in the games, but it didn't seem, he wasn't like head in the jersey like we've seen as recently as that New England game. So very good things coming out of that, I think. Also with Nico and the spiciness, we saw him kind of lose it towards the end of the first half where Zuni got the little glove tap, as it were, from Cerrillo, and the ref had called that negligible contact when we asked Pro about that, which I have issue with. I think it was a little more than negligible, I want to say. But again, I mean, it happened right in front of the ref, and apparently they sent it to Barlington, and Barlington said, yeah, that was fine. It didn't merit the second yellow, even though he probably should have gotten the second yellow earlier. Eventually, Vanny did get him off the field, which I'm mystified that it took that long because I thought the ref was going to do it for him. There were definitely opportunities, and that didn't happen was just absolutely crazy pants to me. And then apparently he started stuff with Azuni, like coming off the field, and then there's like a Galaxy Instagram account that's calling Austin plastic. And
some interesting. I didn't realize that they had a clown as an alternate mascot at the Galaxy, but apparently they do. The whole thing, to me, I try to put myself in the actor's mind, going to the method of what is Nico feeling right at this moment. And it was on the other side of seeing all those insane questionable calls, having his players get into a near fight in the tunnel, apparently, that kind of thing. And I think that so much of it was directed not really at those of us on the call so much, but it was those of us on the call that he was talking to. And so it's really easy to process him speaking to, weird BS that I think is reasonably described as BS, that is non-critical, non-analytical, not coming from the perspective that we do, because that doesn't match with how many times he has talked to us and shown a very clear acumen for understanding and believing in the completely valid criticisms that we have. That's the job. That's what we're there to do.
Right.
I think this was so much more about what a cluster that whole match was and a misperception of what audience was being addressed.
You notice that I didn't get my whole question out about the ref.
Nope.
Before he just went, it's
he
bad.
Was ready.
It was terrible.
He was ready.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, Phil, I'm not going to let you finish, but I got this. Here we go. I'm taking you on a ride. Make sure that your belt is buckled.
Oh, glad you asked about the refs. I have a thought.
I have a thought, and it begins with a word that starts with the letter F. Yeah, it was refreshing. It was great. He'll get a fine for it, I'm sure, but sometimes you got to go for the fine. Diego Rubio said, here, you guys pay my fine. If I get in trouble, you guys pay for my fine, and I'll talk about the refs. Let Nico incur it. Let him be like Napoleon in only this way, the first at the front with his cape. Let him be the one to shoulder the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as it were.
Napoleon had some wins in there.
For me, it was fun. For me, it was water off a duck's back. But I did have that reflexive, bro, you know who you're talking to? You're talking to us, right? Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know. People have really, especially in the last day or so, really wanted to take the isolated quote and focus on the isolated quote. And I just think that even if you extended out a couple of words, there's more context to it. But in the context of after that match, everything that happened on the field, in the tunnel, all that kind of stuff, it makes more sense to me than it did even on the night. And on the night, it didn't bug me as much as I think it did other people.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Let's talk All-Star. We are going to get back to state of the team after that, because obviously there's a DC match that's coming up a week from tomorrow, but there was all kinds of All-Star hoo-ha before that, and we are learning a ton of things. So we'll start with you because you're handling a lot of the weekend stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to drop Saturday morning, but you'll have noticed by this point that if everything has gone to plan, that there is another emergency podcast in your feed that doesn't involve me at all.
Phil,
tell me about that.
The real emergency would not be covering the meat in this all-star sandwich that has been made with artisanal Austin bread on either side. There is so much happening over the next 5 days as we record this on Friday afternoon that we are literally getting additional details for things happening tomorrow, today. The entire league descending upon Austin, and there's an RBC Wealth Management sponsored house where they're doing some panels that I got an Instagram ad for that I'm only just learning about, that isn't even official MLS.
Is there a nesting room and a questing room in this RBC house?
There's not. I knew you were going to ask.
Can you make dough and bake dough? Can you new whip or never whip?
So there's a whole lot going on, and a couple of things. As you said, the bonus episode of Emergency Podcast that showed up in the feed just before this one, I talked to Gabe Gabor from MLS, who has an extensive career in soccer communications going back to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Growing up, an Argentinian soccer fan in South Florida, really great guy who has been around MLS for a long time, going back to 1998, the early days of the league that is now 30 years old. Phil,
he was the force behind the MLS reality show.
Exactly.
Where they were auditioning players. Yeah. The Sueño, Jorge Villafana. That was amazing.
When Phil West writes the MLS book, because he's written the book on MLS soccer twice, when he goes third book and he writes a book about MLS, I feel like you're going to liberally quote from Gabe as a source because he's been around for so much.
Gabe's in that first book.
Phil quoted me in the first book. He was very proud of this.
I think he's been in both books, actually. Yeah. So, I go to that well. He's awesome.
Yeah, very, very knowledgeable guy. If you haven't listened to it yet, we do talk about a bunch of all-star stuff, soccer celebration things that I'll run through in bullet point form, but also talk to him just about his background as a soccer fan, what his experience was working part of Club World Cup, attending part of Club World Cup, and also memorializing Jaime Gallardo, who Spanish-speaking folks who follow soccer, especially the Mexican national team, will be very familiar with this guy. Just a steadfast presence on the sidelines, the reporter that we should all want to grow up to be, and a very sad, sudden passing of this very iconic figure that will be missed on Wednesday during the All-Star festivities, because he definitely would be there. Right. But just a great chat with Gabe that initially was, hey, do you want to talk to somebody from the league about soccer celebration? I was like, yeah, sure, we'll knock it out in 10 minutes. And so we talked for a half hour once I knew it was this guy, because there was a lot to talk about, and just generally thinking about the growth of the league and giving an idea of what the vibe is going to be out at Auditorium Shores. I saw part of the setup yesterday and it looks beautiful, and it's going to make for some very grammable photos and videos. I'll tell you that much. But as you're listening to this Saturday morning, I've put up a newsletter post that runs down all of the different things, the league sponsored stuff, the Austin After Dark stuff that the club helped organize, the unofficial stuff, including our event Monday Night Live. On Monday, there's stuff happening out at Luster Pearl East on Sunday, and various other things, because all of the stuff is out there, but having everything all in one place is something that people kept asking for. So I've put that together. That is already in your inbox if you're already subscribed. And if you're not, I don't know how you're not subscribed to Verde All Day and also listening to the podcast, but you should fix that quickly. As for soccer celebration, the couple of bits of breaking news that I'll duplicate here that we talk about in that conversation is that they will have some MLS legends, some that they have announced and some that might just get sprung on people based on who happens to be around. But if you've ever wanted to meet Kobe Jones is going to be at the Caterpillar booth from 6:30 to 8 on Saturday night, signing autographs, meeting people, chatting, chopping it up. And on Sunday night, the twosome of Diego Valeri and Giassi Zardes will be there from 6 to 9, and just go and hang out. Giassi's a great guy to talk to, and just a lovely human being, being. I had the rare opportunity to talk to business professional Ethan Finley for like 5 seconds last night, and it was great. There was none of the player tension of, I am speaking to a member of the press. It was just Ethan, just this guy, Ethan, wearing a suit, which was weird, but whatever, I'll get used to it. I know that Giassi is not officially retired as a player, but as a player without a club currently, I like that he'll have an opportunity where people aren't asking him about the club's current form and that kind of thing, and people can just chop it up with a nice guy. And Diego Valeri, one of the best talkers on MLS media in both languages. Right. And if you listen to this bonus episode 57, we talk about Diego coming into the league and even media training stuff, because these are things that you can't really talk to players about. But talking to the guy who media trains a bunch of these guys and gives them that kind of training, some fascinating insights that I hadn't had an opportunity to talk to somebody about. And yes, we do talk about the Prickly Pear Water Fresher, available from Whataburger first at Soccer Celebration this weekend.
Diego Valeri is somebody that I have interviewed for an MLS piece. Really, really great guy. Very, very insightful. Interviewed him weirdly from a beach in Corpus Christi. Actually, from a car parked on a beach in Corpus Christi, because otherwise it would have been too noisy with the wind and the surf and all the hoo-ha that
you got to have the sound dampening of the front seat of a Volkswagen. The other couple things about Soccer Celebration to drop before we move on to the various other things that are happening over the course of the week, from 8 to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday at the Michelob Ultra mini pitch, which if you've seen the repeated Lionel Messi Michelob Ultra commercials, you'll feel right at home, because Michelob Ultra is hosting this fan goalie wars and other skills challenge type things that are set up for fans to do from 8 to 10 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday, that I think is going to be some of the most fun that people are going to have, as long as they don't injure themselves. So that's going to be a highlight of both nights.
Do you have to dribble a ball around some palm trees and people in beachwear as you are waiting for your Michelob Ultra?
You'll have to go to find out. That's part of the mystery.
Will the keg blow in the middle of your order? And you'll have to wait. Maybe they will offer you something else, but no, Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, and Quando will just be playing on repeat.
I've been watching too many of these commercials.
Yeah, me too.
This last year plus.
And if you listen to the bonus episode, you will hear me prosecuting my grievance over not being part of the media goalie wars that took place yesterday afternoon. It turns out it was just for TV-based media. I think that's just the excuse. But if you want the full story, the real knockdown, drag-out, fight, look, I'm spoiling it. Look, I'm giving away, why I, who have actually served as a goalie in a media cup game for one half, was not included in that. And it's mostly because I'm not on TV.
But Alex from We Are Awesome TV, our friends who we're going to be doing Monday Night Live with, which we were really excited about, a lot of good things. He was part of that.
Indeed, because they do a lot of video, and we're audio only and written word. We're old school here at the Daily Planet.
Old school for Goalie Wars, apparently.
That's,
so, even though we are Goalie Wars champions, but
even though we are, that's okay. That's okay. Right. But yeah, there's that. There's an unofficial event happening Sunday out at Luster Pearl East from, I think, 5 to 10, sponsored by Charlie, who did the Liga MX jerseys, and the Soccer Post, formerly known as Soccer Corner. And the Monday stuff, if you're not going to Monday Night Live, if you have ever wanted to meet Owen Wolf, I feel like we should let people know. He'll be at the MLS Next All-Star Game. But also, it's going to be overrun by Academy kids and their parents. And who wants to go to that anyway? Who gives a shit? Let's have everyone
go to Hop Squad
Live instead. Go to Hop Squad. It's going to be laid back. It's going to be a good time. We are RSVPing more and more people as the days go. I think even people from MLS who are going to be working over at Q2 all day are probably going to filter over and come hang out too. Please be nice to them. I know that we all have a lot of notes for the league, but if you see somebody wearing the league shield, be good hosts to our visitors.
Some past and present writers from the mothership have already RSVP'd to be part of our panels that we're doing. We got plenty of local folks that are going to be part of it as well. Some voices that you certainly know and recognize if you are a consumer of podcasts, as you are.
I got to spoil one thing. We've got not one, but two Craniolas. In the same place at the same time. I'm just saying.
Nice. It's going to be good.
I'm just saying.
So we are doing that. And then also speaking of other podcasts and things like that too. Yeah, you're noticing there's going to be all this content. There's also an ancillary podcast thing that I'm part of, which I don't know when exactly it's going to drop, but I was fortunate to be a Vamos Verde guest when they did their live thing out at Central Machine Works on Wednesday before the game. So Eric Goodman and I were being interviewed by our friends Jimmy Moss and Juan Garcia. So we visited some of the Azuni stuff and some of the projections. There was a game we played where kind of a lot of projections about the end of the season kind of unfurled, and we had to agree, which was hilarious because we're not generally the agreeing types 100% of the time, but we managed. It was good. It was fun. And we did have to answer who we hate questions towards the end, though not the kind of who we hate questions that you might expect. But if you were there and you like that kind of energy, then it's going to be, I think, that plus, because there's going to be all the kind of all-star energy, of course, that's happening at Monday Night Live. And of course, it's Hop Squad, and Hop Squad, as you know, can be a fun hotbed of soccer talk activity before games. Obviously, MLS Next Pro Championships celebrated and won there. I remember that viewing party. That was fun. So this is going to be kind of a continuation of that energy. And then just otherwise talking about podcasts as well, Max Bretos, I got to talk to him earlier today. So we're going to drop that on Sunday, but we wanted to actually give you a little bit of a taste. So we're going to, at this point here, drop in a few minutes and just get his thoughts on what's going to be happening with him and All-Star. And he talks about food. He talks about trying to find a cowboy hat. That's part of the interview, but we'll get some little kind of teasers about the game right now. Listen to that, and we'll be back on the other side of this in a few.
Transition.
Give me a couple of players in the All-Star game that you're particularly looking forward to seeing. I mean, obviously, there's been some replacements. We're not exactly sure who necessarily is going to be off the roster now. Obviously, unfortunately, Brandon Vasquez is going to be one of those players off the roster after his ACL injury, but certainly some good folks to look at. So just got to give me maybe 3 or 4 names of either MLS or Liga MX players that you're really excited to see.
I want to start with Liga MX because we don't see them enough. We'll get a good taste of that during the Leagues Cup. But Gilberto Mora is someone I think everyone should look into. He's a Balón de Oro nominee with the Leagues Cup. I think 16. We got to see him in the Gold Cup. He is the next big thing out of Mexico, this incredible prospect that plays at Club Tijuana. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but I want to see him up close. And that's something that is very appealing. I think Liga MX has had a great year with, you look at what Monterrey did, making the round of 16 in the Club World Cup, getting a point against Inter, moving ahead of River Plate, pushing Dortmund to the end. They could have easily been into the quarterfinals. That's a club that with Sergio Ramos, and Sergio Ramos will be there. Obviously, that's a guy I'm very excited to see up close, a legendary figure. But this is the best Liga MX roster, and it's because of what Monterrey has done. America is a big ticket item. They're going to have, I don't know if he's the biggest draw because Brian Rodriguez, who played in MLS, there's rumors that he might be coming back to MLS, but these kind of players that have a connection to two are very good. And also Alejandro Zendejas, who has a USMNT connection. So truly, I'm a little more excited just because I don't see them as much for the Liga MX roster. So that's a very good group that we can see. For MLS, we all want to see Messi. Look, it'd be such a game changer, even if he doesn't play or if he's just here and he's walking around. And look, if he's there in the line at Franklin Barbecue for 2 minutes, whatever it is, in whatever capacity, I would like to see it. But this, and I feel for Brandon Vasquez, I feel terrible for the fact that he won't be able to participate in this. And obviously he's out for a long time and injuries are just a reality here. We give our best to Brandon, but I'm sure he will be a big part of this in some capacity. And so will Austin FC and their players. Evander has been outside of Lionel Messi, and even if you include Lionel Messi, he's been the best player in MLS. This is a great moment for him to showcase his skills. And this is a very important player for MLS. A guy who could easily be a playmaker in any of the top Brazilian teams. He plays here. He's happy. We need him to look and showcase him so players of this profile can continue to come to MLS. So I think Evander in this all-star capacity, and maybe he can tell his fellow Brazilians, we're adding more Brazilians. If we have more Brazilians in our league, the better. I think that's fantastic. You have a really good one there as a fullback in Austin. That's a profile we need to keep going. And then Obed Vargas. I like to see the young kids. Obed Vargas was a late ad. He is arguably the best young player we have in MLS. It's not the sexiest position, but if you're trying to get into soccer, watch what Obed Vargas does if you get to see a Sounders game. Just focus on him and you'll see the kind of level of player he is. And hopefully that we'll be able to develop, even though he represents Mexico. He's from Alaska. And it's great because we have players from Alaska. We have players from Alabama. We have players from everywhere that we never used to recruit from, just showing the growth of the league.
Yeah, and I think he's the only Sounder on the roster too, right? Which is unusual given kind of how good the team is overall. And Christian Roldan is certainly maybe somebody who's been deserving, maybe could have been in the conversation there.
Yeah, that's a great shot. We can't give Christian Roldan enough love. You didn't see him at the Club World Cup. In many games, looked like the best player on the field. And he played PSG and Atletico Madrid. He is just so underappreciated outside. And I had a call with Brian Schmetzer during the week. I worked for LAFC, and I go, man, I know LAFC would love to have a guy like that. And he's like, don't even bring it up, Max. He's not going anywhere because he's from LA. And I go, okay, I'm sorry. And I go, LAFC's not the only one. That's the kind of guy that if anyone added, not that he would leave Seattle, any team would add him, they would get immediately much better, whether it's Austin, LAFC, Cincinnati, Nashville, you name it. Christian Roldan is an absolute Cadillac.
Okay. And then any other players you're looking forward to on the MLS side? Anybody else that kind of jumps out in the roster?
It's some of the guys, I don't know if it's Sam Sturridge. I just want to see, because I never gave him a lot of credit. And just the numbers he's been able to put up and what Nashville and some of the Nashville players were just recently added. Nashville's just been a really good story. And I think that's something that we got to give them their due diligence here. And this is what this is what All-Star is all about. Oh, I forgot Diego Luna, who's been the poster child here. So Diego Luna is another one we want to see. And he is the All-Star profile, right? He's the guy that can do incredible things with his feet, and he's kind of like that Harlem Globetrotter profile, but he's still so good as a player on the day to day. He's going to be a very exciting addition. I think he'll draw a lot of cameras his way, and a guy that quite frankly, we didn't really have in the past in MLS, a young
Mhm.
playmaker. And I've talked to more young players, and I think we're at a point where we're going to see more number 10s, more of this attacking type player. And we're not just going to be a country that builds eights and maybe sixes. We're going to build the number 10 exciting, dynamic player to match what they're doing in South America, because we've had to import so many of those types of players in the past.
Yeah, and the thing too with Luna, one-time El Paso Locomotive player. So you have this player who comes up from the USL ranks to do everything that he's doing. It's pretty remarkable there.
Yeah. And you always have to wonder how many players like him didn't get that break. And it's a testament to him because he never gave up. He kept plugging away. And now he has got the attention of the national team coach. He is in the starting 11 for Pablo Mastroeni at Real Salt Lake every time. I talk to Pablo all the time. He's just blown away at the development. So it's just a good lesson if you're a kid there and you feel like you've been ignored. Just keep plugging along. If you believe in yourself, incredible things can happen. So let Diego Luna be your example.
Let him be your North Star. Maybe don't get all the tattoos because that's a lot.
One tattoo's enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
Hate on your neck. I do, but I don't have hate on my neck.
Transition.
So anything else you want to hit on?
Yeah, just some other stuff that people should expect on the other side of surviving the next 5 days. Monday's media day, and there's going to be a collection of opportunities for me and folks attending in person to talk to roundtables of players, which will be neat. And Nico Estevez, as we know, I never get to talk to Nico Estevez. What a unique opportunity that'll be. But something interesting that got wedged into this is there's also going to be a couple of short conversations about Leagues Cup, which I know there are people who have very strong feelings about Leagues Cup, but it's a reality and it's a thing that exists. And if Taylor Twellman will actually let me ask a question, then I will achieve something on Monday afternoon. But both Monday morning and Tuesday morning, they're doing media availability over at St. David's for the MLS players. So we will have an opportunity to, I think, talk to a couple of players, also watch and get some B-roll of practice. For those folks, they've got separate availabilities for the Liga MX players, which I'm juggling enough that I won't be able to get all the way out to St. Edwards to do that. But other folks in the overall media ecosystem will be doing that. And one of the official things that I just wanted to point out to folks that I think has gotten lost in the noise of all the stuff that's happening is that both on the day of Skills Challenge and the game itself, they're doing a future of the game showcase in the Lexus Club at the stadium, where they're going to be showing off technology and VR, AR stuff and all that kind of stuff. And not knowing the specifics of all the stuff that's going to be shown there, I bet we'll probably get to see some of the technology that's actually in these balls, like how does all of that stuff work, the trackers and the sensors and that kind of thing. I'm bringing this up mostly tongue in cheek so that I can say, how are they even inflated? Because that's a new technology that MLS is working with on the other side of that Galaxy game. There's so much stuff happening. And again, if you didn't listen to the bonus episode with Gabe, the thing that he said is so many people from the MLS world, current players, retired players, player legends, notable figureheads will be in and around Austin, certainly at the official league events and that sort of thing, but they'll just be around. You might see them at Hop Squad on Monday night, on Tuesday night, on Wednesday night. Everybody is in town, loves being in Austin. People love visiting Austin. And the biggest thing that I would say to the Verde All Day Nation is, I don't know why I'm coming off like Stephen Colbert on the Colbert Report all of a sudden, but I can't wait to show people the kind of Austin hospitality. That's why everybody loves visiting here. And we constantly have to tell people, please, for the love of God, do not move here. Do not move here. We're not always this nice. We're just this nice when you're visiting. Don't get any weird ideas, says the guy who moved here 20 years ago. But yeah, I think that there is something really unique about this. Also, last night at this kickoff event, Andy Loughnane confirmed that it's his understanding that Murga will be playing their instruments and will be offering a version of the Austin game day experience in Austin Stadium, which is very uncommon for All-Star games. Generally, the league tries to make it as generic and non-specific, but it seems like whatever conversations needed to be had to not repress one of the most irrepressible and unique things about the Austin game day experience ended up working out for the best. Expect the heartbeat to keep beating, even though it's only one of our players and a bunch of guys from a bunch of teams we like beating up on.
Right. And then again, also before the skills challenge on Tuesday, if you find yourself at Haymaker, of course, be dropping in on that because obviously that's going to be the SoccerWise/Kickback event. That is, of course, the new podcast network that got announced last week. The SoccerWise folks, the good work that they're doing. And obviously Susanna Fuller and some of the other crew from Morning Footy have all merged and have become part of this soccer media conglomerate, which sounds like it's going to be mostly podcast stuff. They're going to do some debut stuff Tuesday as well.
Danny Pereira is going to be their guest unless he moves to Coventry City before then.
Right. But apparently, according to Tom, that's not going to happen quite yet. I wonder if he put that out there just to delay things a little bit. It's like, we don't want to lose this interview with Danny. So let's, once he's done the interview, then yes, he can go be part of Coventry and play in the championship and all that. But we want to have him because it would be a drag to have to set up another player interview on several days' notice.
It's gonna be a nutty week. Buckle up, have fun, get out there, socialize, and have a good time.
Yeah,
we are also
absolutely.
the one other thing I was going to mention about Monday Night Live is that we are in communication with the people who run the Independent Supporters Council, who are helping organize visiting fans coming in from other fan bases, so that they have somewhere to go hang out on Monday. Because if they're going to already be in town and they're not desperate to go watch the Academy All-Star game, come drink with Austin locals and have fun. You should find yourself in mixed company before Skills Challenge even.
Right. So yeah, so that wraps up All-Star stuff. So again, obviously that little taste of Max Bretos that you had, the whole thing on that is gonna drop here on Sunday. And then I just wanted to also tease one thing that I'm working on right now. So Austin is 8-6. You might remember, and this was floating around from the Austin FC Ireland people. They astutely pointed out that at this time in 2024, we were also 8-6 after 22 games. And specifically, that was a little bit earlier because there was a bigger Leagues Cup break. That was the July 6, 24 game, the victory against NYCFC. I was, of course, in New Orleans for my mom's 80th birthday that day. I was not in the stadium, one of the rare home games where I was not in the stadium. Yeah, actually, two of the games I've missed at home in the 5 years I've been in New Orleans those times. So you get a sense of what it takes to get me away from Q2 Stadium.
If you don't still at Q2, look for him in New Orleans.
Exactly. Yeah. But kind of curious that, again, even with Nico, even with this kind of new reset, even with this emphasis on defense, and obviously the offensive struggles, the team is once again 8-6. And as you may remember, they went 3-6-3 down the stretch in 2024 and finished outside of the playoffs, finished with a not stellar record overall, but they were in 9th at that point in 2024. They're in 8th right now. So essentially we've had all this kind of change happen and the team is about exactly where it was at this point last year. Yeah. So that is, again, we are without a game for 10 days here. We're excited to bring all of this to you. Hope that you are enjoying the extra podcasts and the unusual but usual in that we have content on the site, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to this before we continue this kind of deluge of audio and written media?
No, man, I think we're keeping people well stocked. And depending on how the week goes, as things come together, who knows what our posting schedule is going to be like during the craziness of All-Star. Austin getting to host All-Star in the first 5 years of its existence, I think, is something that people are not going to fully process until everybody is really in the thick of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how things come out the other side. And of course, we'll be recording stuff on Monday night and releasing that in concert with our friends over at We Are Austin. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to rest. I'm trying to, get some sleep because I know it's going to be nuts.
You went to a party last night. Well, I also went to a party, but it was a kid's birthday party, specifically my daughter's.
I went to the beginning of a party that I was not on the invite list for, specifically to cover the media availability part of said party. So no, I didn't go to a party. I went to the environs of a party. I did not go to attend a party. I went to observe a specific controlled portion of a party and talk off the record briefly to Mayor Kirk Watson about our plans for taking over the government.
Then you snuck into a waiter costume and hung around the party.
I did not. No, but I did have some bite-sized foods and some bite-sized drinks, and I got fed and watered and then put out to pasture, as any good racehorse should.
All right. Well, we are looking forward to seeing you on Monday at Hop Squad. If you can make it out there again, 5 to 10 ish. Moisés will probably handle the ish part of 10-ish, but going to be a good time. Really excited to have conversations with some of these folks from across the nation. And then, of course, our friends here in Austin who cover this team at a crossroads once again. We'll see where the next 12 games take us, plus, of course, the Open Cup games. Looking forward to it. We will see you and have a great week, and just keep your feeds open for our content.
This is the best thing I've heard in the history of the 8 years I've been on this planet.